Australia isn't just facing an immigration challenge. It's facing a full-blown collapse. For decades, our leaders told us that mass migration was the key to economic prosperity, multiculturalism, and national growth. But today, we're living with the fallout. Overrun infrastructure, a crushed housing market, rising unemployment, and a cultural fracture growing by the day. This is no longer just a debate about numbers. It's about survival. Because what's happening right now is pushing Australia to the brink, economically, socially, and politically. In this investigation, we'll break down how we got here, who's benefiting, who's suffering, and why. Unless something changes fast, we may be witnessing the slow dismantling of modern Australia. Chapter 1. The numbers don't lie. In 2023, Australia's net overseas migration hit a record-breaking 518,000 people. That's over 500,000 new arrivals in just 1 year. For context, that's roughly the entire population of Tasmania arriving in 12 months. And the numbers aren't slowing down. The federal government has forecast migration to remain high through 2026, with figures estimated to stay between 375,000 and 450,000 annually. This isn't steady immigration. It's an immigration surge without precedent. Australia's total population is now closing in on 27 million. That might sound manageable, but the truth is, we are nowhere near prepared to handle it. Chapter 2. Infrastructure in Freefall. Let's be brutally honest. Australia's infrastructure is collapsing under the weight. Public transport in Melbourne and Sydney is overcrowded and frequently delayed. Major highways like the M4 and Monash Freeway are gridlocked during peak hours. Emergency departments are turning patients away. Public schools are bursting at the seams, with classes being held in portable sheds. These are not minor growing pains. This is a national emergency. We are adding a city the size of Canberra every year without building another Canberra to match it. And what's the government's solution? We'll build more. But planning, funding, and constructing infrastructure takes years, sometimes decades. Meanwhile, people are suffering today. Chapter 3. Housing, the engineered crisis. Ask any Australian under 40 if they think they'll own a home. Most will either laugh, cry, or get angry. The median house price in Sydney now sits at over $1.3 million. Even regional towns, once considered affordable escapes, have seen double-digit percentage growth in the past 24 months. Why? Because demand has been artificially inflated. We are pumping hundreds of thousands of people into a market that already doesn't have enough homes. Supply can't catch up, and developers can't build fast enough. Worse, many of the new homes are snatched up by investors or sit vacant waiting for price appreciation. In 2024, over 60% of Australia's population growth came from overseas migration. And housing supply? Barely increased by 1%. Renters are being hit even harder. In Brisbane, the median rent rose 14.8% last year alone. Families are living in cars. Students are crammed 6 to a room. Young couples are delaying marriage and children because they can't afford rent, let alone a mortgage. Chapter 4. The Great Labor Lie. One of the biggest justifications for mass migration is that we need more workers. But let's break that down. While it's true that some industries, like aged care and construction, need more workers, the blanket policy of importing massive numbers of migrants doesn't target those shortages effectively. Instead, we're seeing huge numbers of temporary visa holders, international students, and low-wage workers flood the labor market. The result? Wage suppression. Real wages in Australia have declined in the past 3 years. Median full-time income has failed to keep pace with inflation, and workers in hospitality, retail, logistics, and even health are being undercut by an oversupplied labor pool. This isn't lifting standards, it's lowering them. Chapter 5. Healthcare on the Brink. It's not just about roads and homes. Australia's healthcare system is under siege. GP clinics are closing in regional areas. Wait times for specialists have doubled. Bulk billing is vanishing, and hospitals are routinely operating over capacity. A report by the Australian Medical Association in late 2023 warned that without drastic intervention, the system will buckle. That was before the latest immigration spike. A surge in population demands more doctors, nurses, hospital beds, and mental health services. But instead of training more Australian health professionals, we're importing workers on short-term contracts. A Band-Aid solution for a broken bone. Chapter 6. Cultural Fractures. Australia was built on immigration, but not like this. What we're witnessing now is unplanned, unmanaged, and unsustainable. Assimilation is no longer the goal. Integration is barely happening. And entire suburbs have become cultural enclaves where Australian values, language, and social cohesion are struggling to survive. This isn't about race, it's about volume. It's about the rate of change being so rapid that neither the host population nor the newcomers can adjust. We used to have one of the strongest multicultural models in the world. Now we have fractured communities, rising tension, and a silent cultural breakdown that few politicians are willing to acknowledge. Chapter 7. Who's benefiting? Let's be clear, someone is making money off this chaos, and it's not you. Property developers are making billions. Universities rake in tens of thousands of dollars per international student. Labor hire firms exploit migrant workers while pocketing the difference. And major corporations get a steady stream of low-paid, easily exploited employees. Meanwhile, politicians use immigration as a lazy tool to artificially boost GDP. But here's the truth: GDP per capita, what actually matters for the average Australian, is falling. We're growing in numbers, not prosperity. Chapter 8. Real stories, real struggles. Megan, a single mom from Geelong, works 2 jobs. Her rent has doubled since 2021. She's on a public housing waitlist, number 9,423. Raj, a software developer who migrated in 2016, says his parents still can't get a hospital appointment within 3 months, despite paying thousands in private health insurance. Jade, a nurse in Western Sydney, says her hospital regularly diverts patients because there are no more beds. These are not isolated cases. This is the new Australian reality. Chapter 9. The Collapse of National Identity. What makes a country a country? Shared values, shared language, shared goals. When migration is done carefully and gradually, people integrate. They learn the culture, adopt the norms, and contribute to the national fabric. But when you import hundreds of thousands of people every year without a plan, without standards, you erode the very identity of the nation. We are heading toward a country where being Australian means nothing more than holding a passport. And that is the fast track to societal collapse. Chapter 10. What needs to change? This crisis can be reversed, but only with courage. Here's what needs to happen. Immediate reduction of net migration to below 100,000 per year. Ban foreign ownership of residential property for 5 years. Incentivize local infrastructure development in regional areas. Mandatory English and civics education for all new migrants. Overhaul the visa system to prioritize skilled, long-term contributors. Crack down on universities treating student visas as a business. Return housing and healthcare to citizen-first policy models. Final thoughts. The window is closing. Australia is running out of time. What we're seeing isn't a temporary challenge. It's a permanent trajectory toward collapse. A nation can't survive if it's overcrowded, underhoused, culturally divided, and economically rigged against its own people. Mass migration was sold to us as progress, but today it's an anchor, dragging down wages, quality of life, and national unity. Unless we wake up now, the country we once called home will become unrecognizable. Subscribe to Outback Crisis for more hard truths about what's really happening behind Australia's political curtain. And to understand how our housing crisis is tied directly to migration policy, watch this next video here.